Hello, and welcome to the very first ever live 48-hour project thing, live stream sort of doohickey, which I'm sure will be a little more professional as we go along. But the idea is just to take, based off an image off of, or a couple images off of Midjourney, just to create like a whole story and to see how quickly we can do it in subtext and it's actually good and it's not just a bunch of nonsense from GPT-3. So part of it was inspired by, let's see, was inspired by these images here. And these were brought to us by Jay Hayward, who is here with us today. Hi, Jay, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. So yeah, you just did, you were messing around with Midjourney, like you were doing in the Subtext Discord, and you came up with these images. You just want to tell us what the prompt was or what the idea was behind it?
The prompt was a man in a purple suit and a hat stealing something from the Queen's vault and guards watching in the background, I think is what it is. I
Awesome.
think that's all it was. There was no other logic to it.
Nothing more to it. Yeah, and it's not so much like the images as much as it's like I just thought these were really cool. Um, and just like what it would be like to build a whole story just off of this crazy sort of thing going on here, right? All right, so let me bring up subtext and let's see what we can do. All right. Does anybody have any ideas for like genre or anything when they saw these pictures here? Oh, so what we're gonna this is gonna be like a completely collaborative thing. Everybody can throw out ideas, and then we're just gonna use subtext to make sure it's not a million different ideas that don't have any sort of meaning to it. We're gonna get to like maybe today we'll figure out the story form, and roughly an hour unless it's really fun and we keep going. So we'll go to the premise builder here, and just looking at those images. Does anybody have any idea of any sort of kind of personality or any sort of, I know you're doing like a Pixar aesthetic thing or something. Was there any sort of thought to that?
Not really. To be honest, I didn't think it would look how it looked. So the idea that I had in my head was completely different. And then when I saw it, my thought was that it was going to be like the images to me suggest it's like a kind of despicable me kind of a thing, whereas like a villain is trying to steal or is trying. I don't know. I think it's I don't know what the genre is for that, but I think it's that kind of a thing.
I
It's
was
a
thinking
heist
maybe
movie.
a heist or something.
Heist
Oh,
movie, yeah.
and do we want to do like animation or live action CG sort of combo? Any thoughts?
I mean, does it matter?
For the person that like you can do, we might have some thoughts to it. Where is
I
my,
think if we're going off of the visuals, I think the visuals of like the robot faced person probably is gonna look less nightmarish in animation, maybe.
well, these are the different personalities here. So let's see. And this is less like teaching sometimes. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, but we were saying like a heist sort of thing, right? So maybe like objective story in physics, right? Is everybody good with that? And we have no idea main character, influence character relationship story. All right, let's see. So do we
Yeah,
want
but
to
it's a
have
heist. It'll be the lower
do
left.
okay, so we'll make sure this is a heist thing, right? Because I don't think I have heist. I have crime. Maybe comedy or drama?
Drama.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Drama.
Drama. All right. Well, that one's weird. I don't want to do that. Um, Okay, so do we want the guy to be the guy with the camera for his face, or do we want to like kind of just use the colors and the different ideas of it that are going on? What could
Like
we
as the
do?
main character, you mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like the
See,
guy with
I
the cameras and the antagonist.
yeah, I kind of thought when I saw the pictures, my thought would be that that it was not an actual person, but it was like a almost like a kind of drone that the actual character had sent out to almost like scope the place, you know,
Okay, so he's like
maybe.
the antagonist or something that's doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll keep acquire something here, right? So it's stealing something. We'll keep it really super simple. Um, then I guess we just have to, we could be completely random here as far as the main character. We could either have a doer or a beer. This will be a little bit lighter here. This will be kind of more classic. Um,
Make him a
and
beer, like it's kind of in line with what was just said about sending out a robot to do his work.
okay, so the main character is a beer?
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
And what's his name? Is his name Hayward?
No.
Harold. Um, Hugh. Hugh Grant. All right. And so is he, we got to get like some basic idea of the story. Is he like sending somebody out there to steal something um for himself, or is it for somebody else? Hmm. What would be the best way to go about
If he's in mind, it might be for somebody else. Like he's doing it for like a cause. Like he thinks he has some sort of prejudice. Or
it?
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
he's on
he might. I mean, if it's he seems to be stealing the crown jewels, right? So he might just be one of those people who's like abolish the royals, like that kind of a thing. Like I'm going to make a statement or something,
right. Yeah.
you know.
All right. Then maybe. So as far as this goes here, the argument of the story, we don't know who the influence character is or anything like that, but he's trying to make a statement. Is that what we're getting at, maybe?
Yeah, it could be, and he could just be like one of these people that's trying to make a very public comment. Maybe he's trying to provoke them, or he's trying to do something. Um,
Okay, I just had a thought. Let's use this thing. So what do we want to say about provoking, like, um, provoking people to do things?
Public.
What's that?
Provoking the public or something. I don't know.
Is
Causing a
that a way to
stir.
get your message across? All right, so
it
provoke.
could be it could be like you know, back in the French Revolution when the public kind of rebelled against the royals because the royals had like gotten the French queen had gotten a little bit out of looking after herself and her people and all those things, and it could be one of those things where he's trying to, you know, start that revolution kind of a thing, maybe.
So the only way to start a revolution is to stoke the fire. Is that the kind of thing?
Could be, could be.
Keeping cause and effect. That's very funny. It's the same sort of idea. Process and result, proaction, reaction, production, reduction. Anybody have anything to riff off on this?
I don't know if that places us in a different quadrant than we wanted to be, but I kind of liked the one before that was like maybe like a pose, but I don't. That seemed like it could maybe fit a little bit, but I don't know if that's where we want to go.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like,
That's a good one. Yeah.
all right. So maybe
because then that ties in with what John said about it being all about prejudice and
okay. Would be the point would be what, rejecting is a good thing? Rejecting the status quo is a good thing? I was just trying to get like the idea of what it is that this guy's after. Because if he's like standing up to the royals, I assume he's like, we're thinking he's on the right track, right?
right.
Yeah, something like that sounds right. If you want to use oppose and support, it'd be a good pair for that. If you're overthrowing like an established system.
He's trying to destabilize the government by stealing jewels.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Yeah. Only way to make a difference is to reject authority, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so he would be oppose, and we want to take this position, right? Like this is how it's all going to turn out. I guess what I'm getting at is he would be the steadfast character.
Maybe.
Because there's like two, we could either do it where he's, um, it's actual work, which means if you continue opposing and you continue rejecting authority, then you can successfully, secure something. It's like somebody who stand up by rejecting things, and then they would influence or convert the other person, the influence character in the story, to move from a place of hinder to a place of help. So probably like helping them out.
Is this influence character that the gear-based robot person?
I don't know. I thought like it sounded like it was like a Despicable Me sort of thing where it's like he's sending this robot to go do the stealing for him. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it could totally be that, but I just wondered if that was the influence character. Maybe like it's this robot that doesn't understand and it keeps getting in the way, keeps doing things wrong, or it doesn't understand its purpose, or I don't know. It doesn't have to be that character.
Okay.
Because then you have like if that's the argument, like there is an element of obviously the robot would want to support its master, which is then like this complicated thing because he's like, oh, you have to reject authority, and the robot is
Right.
like, no, but I want to do everything that you tell me to do, and all this kind of.
Okay. All right, let's see if I can get one for the robot. Praising someone can have many benefits. It can make the person feel good about themselves. All right, so this is like an overly pleasant robot who's always trying to please everybody and praise his master and do what he says. And meanwhile, his master is like complete reject authority, um, completely opposing stuff. And the reason why he likes to be contrary to the royals is because it makes himself more interesting. People are drawn to those who are
Yeah.
different, and being country can help you stand out. All right, so this is a fun start. Robot names. Ready?
Marvin.
Marvin. Okay. All right. So then people following along. So what we have is we have Harold and Marvin, and Marvin is. Oh, I wish I could flip. There it is. All right. So apparently, um, maybe this is Harold running the machine or whatever, and then when it turns around, this is Marvin, and he's there to steal something for Harold, and this is the crown jewels or whatever he's stealing, right? Because that's where they leave it. They leave it just out in the open amongst everybody else. The Tower of London. Okay, so let's go back here. We're getting somewhere.
It works really nicely as well because the robot is dressed like all of the guards. So kind
And
of,
then he fits in there.
yeah, he just sneaks in.
So let's see if Harold and Marvin had a you and I. Let's see if this actually works. And let's see. Well, you're always questioning and pushing against the status quo. I'm more likely to praise something. It's funny, these are flipped. Oh, oh no, no, that's right. I'm not sure what you're getting at. I guess I'm wondering as why you're so contrary. What are the benefits? Oh, and then he's just going to spout out the benefits. But I think there are benefits to praising something. It can make people feel good. All right, well, this is kind of just repeating the back and forth, but I'll keep it for right now. All right, so anybody following along, we have Harold and Marvin. Harold is somebody who's always rejecting authority and loves being a contrarian, and he's going to stand up against the royals. And then the robot is somebody who's very supportive and always wants to do what's uh, lead on the support his master. And oh, this is cool. So Harold's going to be very skeptical, and that'll be kind of like, I know we said drama, but maybe the comedic thing is better. I don't know. And then Hinder to help will be the arc of Mr. Marvin. And this is actual work, which means because it ends in a triumph, it was like it was actually the work needed to get to a triumph. That's what that means. Do we like that, or do we want? It's kind of lighthearted. I don't know if we want.
No.
We can do anything. It's up to everybody. So this says keep. Oh, that's funny. Keep adapting to the world by resisting through being a contrarian, and you can probably seize something, steal the crown jewels, or is he replacing them, returning them to their rightful owner, or something like that? Or is he just showing that he can do it? Anybody? Okay. Well, either way, we know obtaining, so we can always change that as we go through.
There's still the jewels in there.
Is there jewels in it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. I just don't know the meaning of stealing the jewels. Like, it's like, if we're talking about like, oh, being a contrarian is the way, what is it that you get control over, right? Like, maybe control. I always think like obtaining is less about like stealing the jewels and more like getting control of your life or something. Like, what is the
Yeah, I
message?
was going to say, would it be more that it's about rebelling against the, establishment, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, but regaining that sense of control in yourself, so you're not being told, this is how you should live, or
Yeah, like spark a
yeah,
rebellion or something like that, right? Like get
yeah,
control over it. Yeah.
yeah. It's like freeing the public, freeing them from.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
It feels like very V for Vendetta.
Oh, does it? I feel well, but maybe this is a little lighter. I don't know. Like for the first thing, I think we should be light. Okay. All right. So then this is I'm just calling it the Royal Heist for now. So we submit that, and I don't know. Oh, did I? Don't know if I made. I think I had the main character as. Anybody notice if I had it in the beer thing?
I think you did. I think you did.
Well, I think next time I'll do this before, so I don't have to sit here and wait for the 5 minutes for it to finish. Well, if anybody wants a drink or anything, let's see. Royal Heist. Perfect. Didn't take that long. Okay. Let's see what we got here. The Royal Heist. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the personality here, and it was just action driven. With the sparking a rebellion, heist, all the really fun physical stuff going on in physics, and then the main character in the mind domain. It's nice that the robot is in universe. I don't know if John did that on purpose, but that's a nice influence
Yeah.
character. Robots. Robots work nicely in universe,
Uh-huh.
and the relationship story would be becoming. All right, so let's see. You can start anywhere. We talked a little bit about their argument here. with the oppose and the support. So I think we have a pretty good idea of that just because for right now, just because we did the premise builder thing. So let's do, I want to find out more about Harold first. That seems much more interesting to me. So he's the main character, and the only element we have for him now is oppose, because we know he's going to be, Mr. Contrarian, always speaking out against someone. And do we want to make him the protagonist? Should we just make it easy? Make it easy on ourselves?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to add pursuit, and I'll just add consider. He's going to be like the ultimate protagonist, and he is, could be that he pursues opportunities that present themselves and considers maybe everyone isn't a royal as family, or it could be he only considers robots family. And there's all kinds of different things. These are just the motivations of a protagonist or pursuit and consider. So
Could it be that maybe the whole reason that he's doing this is that he just didn't have many friends, so he's like created all this like a robot, like this robot friend who is his only friend, and he's like, well, robots are friendly, but humans not so much.
so he wants friends.
Maybe that's what he's trying to do.
So the world already has more friends.
He's like, if there's nobody in power, then it means everybody's equal, and therefore I can befriend whoever I want.
So Harold only considers robots to be friends or friend material.
Maybe
Is that what you were saying?
Or maybe-
not necessarily committed to that, but maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he's like driven a lot of people away because of his contrarianism.
Okay.
Then the only people that can tolerate him are robots.
Oh, in that case, like, he rarely considers anybody else's opinion but his own. Right? It's like once he makes a decision, he goes for it. He's not going to change his mind, which is a good protagonist. And, pursues world where he can do whatever he wants. And we don't know necessarily the goal yet, but these are just nice little ideas of where Harold's coming from, right? But I was even thinking, well, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. So I would do the objective story and I would do the goal. And we talked about it a little bit, which is that sparking a rebellion thing. Do we just want to make that the actual thing, or controlling one's life? Maybe the premise is controlling one's life, right? Let's see, gain control over your life. So keep resisting by being contrarian and get control of your life. But then the goal of the story is sparking that rebellion. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice pair.
So then it's like the message of the story has a different flavor than, so you're just not repeating yourself, right? So then it's like there's all these resonances that are playing with each other, and thematically they're tied together.
Yeah, they kind of build. The OS goal is about sparking the rebellion, but really the whole message of things is kind of a broad, but getting
Exactly.
that control over your life.
And here the AI was listening to us. A goal of sparking rebellion resolves conflict by allowing for a change in the power structure of the society in which the story takes place.
Perfect.
This can lead to a more just and equal society. All right, well, that sounds cool. Let's see. Tyrannical government. Trying to overthrow. Not really. He's not really trying to overthrow the oppressive government, right? He's just trying to thumb his nose at them, sort of thing.
Embarrass them.
To do what? I'm sorry, Phil?
To embarrass them.
Oh, to embarrass them. Yes. It also does a great job of embarrassing those who are in charge. Okay. Because then that, when you go back to the players, then now all these motivations, you'll see the motivations are in regards to sparking rebellion. So it's always good to, because these are the objective story, these are the elements kind of motivated towards that. You know, the pursuit might be different. And then what I like to do is once you have a couple different elements, is just turn those into one nice storytelling thing. So Harold is an individualist who believes in pursuing one's own interests above all else. He's not particularly concerned with other people's opinions and is more likely to act on his own impulses. This attitude could potentially lead to him sparking rebellion as he is not afraid of speaking out against authority. Awesome. So now we have this awesome character out of just like 4 images. But that's just him as the protagonist. He's just part of the objective story. So let's have fun. And I just get really excited. So if you have ideas, throw them out. Don't feel like I don't want to railroad it.
Would you want to see the other side of the coin with the antagonist to see
Oh,
the,
okay.
Yeah, I did
the
have
sort of
a thought for
pitch?
that.
Because there's got to be a nice little source of conflict, right, about the pitfalls of what he's doing.
Okay.
If we want to make like a really compelling antagonist argument, something we relate to, it'd be nice to see what that turns out.
Perfect. All right. So yes, please do that interruption stuff all the time. All right. So we did the protagonist and the goal of sparking rebellion. So here's Harold, and he's pursuing that, right? So I don't even know who the antagonist is, right? So let's do kind of the backwards way, which is the antagonist will be aligned with closer to the consequence, like what doesn't happen if he doesn't spark the rebellion, or it's something that's already going on. So, in this case, it would be becoming, because that nicely balances out the whole obtaining thing. I could do random stuff, or we could just look through here. Become a queen.
You could go both ways on this, right? It's either like this empowered group of people is now stuck in leadership, so they become the thing they're trying to tear down, or it could fall apart into anarchy.
Yeah.
And that's
I
the
was
counter
going to
argument.
say, like when I saw Become a Queen, that it could possibly be that, you know, there is a vacancy at the moment in this fictional royal family. Somebody else is preparing to ascend to become the queen, and the people are looking at that and saying, well, she is clearly out of her mind, and it would be a disaster if she were to become a queen. And then that would motivate what he's doing. I don't necessarily know if that's a consequence, but that would at least motivate the heist.
Or it's like the transforming of the royal family, right? Because isn't that kind of like what's going on now, where it's like it's at the end of it, and now it's going to transform into a different.
Yeah.
Or they want
Transforming into the worst regime in history,
to
Yeah.
becoming.
literally.
So maybe, all right. So if I did becoming a queen, I just want to see what that looks like. If the protagonist of a story becomes a queen, I don't know if that works. If and the
Could it maybe
protagonist,
be that, like, when this person becomes queen, that she's like, well, I'm going to sell half the country to half the kingdom to the highest bidder, and I'm going to transform it into this, you know, very, very, very different land for profit or whatever the thing is.
yeah,
And then that would, of course, just change the quality of life for everybody.
Maybe that's where the jewels come in. Is maybe like the jewels are like the highest whatever
Yeah.
currency that they
Yeah.
have that like lets them justify their
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
supposed to be
that's
kind
good.
of like a priceless artifact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can buy anything.
So the queen, what is it? The queen, the future queen tends on selling off the the jewels. Is that what we're saying?
she's gonna kind of I'm trying to think of a way that I can phrase it, but she would almost sell the kingdom, just not necessarily the jewels, but the whole kingdom, everybody else's stuff, I guess is the thing. She's gonna sell everybody else's the kingdom's stuff for profit, which will destroy their quality of life, but of course her stuff is going to be fine. So the jewels would not be sold, but everything else in the kingdom would be
Oh, okay.
sold to outside bidders. I don't know how to phrase it.
So it's almost like she has all these deals in place, but of course she's not going to get rid of her precious jewels because that's what makes royalty what it is. And
Yeah.
then so this guy's like, well, screw you. If you're going to do that, I'm going to show you. I'm going
Yeah.
to steal your stuff and sell that on the black
Yes.
market or something like that.
She wants to steal everything from everybody else, but not, she wants to protect herself. And he's like, well, screw you. I'm going to just take specifically your stuff. See how
Which
you like
means the story is called A Royal Sellout.
it.
Hey,
I
isn't
like
this exactly what's happening at Warner Brothers?
Wow. I didn't want to say it.
Is this what's
Yeah.
happening at the WB?
No comment.
Well, yeah, transforming the quality of life. Yeah, or transforming the society. I mean, this should be about the antagonist. If the quality of life for everyone is transformed, it would mean the country is no longer in conflict. Nope. Nope. If the protagonist is working.
Is it because we haven't put an antagonist in place? Is that maybe why it's defaulting to the protagonist?
No, it's probably likely the way that I have it set up. If if the protagonist is working to improve the quality of life and they are unsuccessful, the consequence would be that the quality of life for everyone in the country would remain the same or potentially worse. Okay, that's pretty much repeating the same thing. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Let's see if there's something. I mean, this is pretty specific. Potential story in which. Oh, this got very serious. Economic recession, natural disasters, or civil unrest. I mean, that's kind of cool. If a story were to focus the consequence. Oh, this is pretty close. Anybody read this one? The antagonist of the story would be someone who opposes this transformation either out of selfishness or because they believe it is impossible.
Like because they believe it is impossible.
Yeah, that last part kind of resonates.
Okay. All right. And so is this the queen herself? Is that what we're thinking? Right now it's Marvin. I don't think that is going to work. So let's add
The queen or like some aid to the queen or something.
female. Put her in the objective story. It definitely has a void, which goes against Harold's pursuit. And then to be classic antagonist, we'll just add reconsider. All right. So do we like the aid to the queen, or who is this person?
Well, the queen's not. If in this story, is the queen in power yet? Do we
Oh,
decide?
No.
So maybe it could be the queen herself, or the potential
Okay.
queen to be, right? Or prevents. I guess one of her goals could be preventing the more qualified other candidate for queen. I don't know.
Yeah. Like she's trying to protect her. Like there are others in
Potential.
the the others trying to like
Oh.
backstab her and get that position, and she's trying to protect her place.
Well, the other thing too, so that's interesting, right? But then in regards to sparking a rebellion, like what would she be doing to avoid a rebellion or to prevent a rebellion?
Maybe she's like trying to like give everybody what they want,
Like that would
or
be
like
cool.
promising them, making all these promises that she knows aren't going to happen. But
Yeah, she's just trying to appease the public.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, here, I'll do this. Okay. The
She's just avoiding the truth.
avoid a rebellion by appeasing public with what? Festivals and games? It's Hunger Games? No. Appeasing the public.
Crypto investments. I don't know.
Crypto
Festivals and
investment
false promises.
with false promises. Um, what else?
Big publicity stunts, like anything to distract,
Big publicity stunts.
anything that will
Maybe she
impress
just
them
like
and
wants to build like a big amusement park if we're going for more comedic.
Okay. And keep them distracted, right? Keep them
Mm.
distracted
Yeah.
from what she is really doing, from what she is really doing. And then if we go to the AI, oh, cool. See, avoid, but that's because I used avoid, so that works. So I'll probably just take this, put this here. Temptation, disbelief, and support. I like
Temptation.
temptation's nice, right? Oh, yeah, here we go. The potential enemy entices public distractions. And the reconsiders like anytime anybody like gets excited about a rebellion, she's always getting them to like reconsider that, you know.
Yeah.
So forces others to reconsider.
I like the idea that she's like basically bringing this circus to town, and anytime she gets like a sniff of there's a rebellion coming, you don't want to lose this great amusement park that you've come to love. You don't want to lose that, like a mob boss.
All these great things I built for you.
Yeah.
Look at the
Right.
water slide.
This great water slide. It's great. Do we can we get a name?
Margaret.
Oh, that's
As
crazy.
it's too. What?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is that the real
Oh,
queen?
it was a sister of the queen,
Oh, okay.
but it might be too close to Marvin. I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, I don't like that. But that's funny that we had the same exact name.
What about
Victoria.
Trudy?
Trudy? Did somebody say Trudy?
Yeah.
Alright. Trudy, and I'm just gonna change this here. Okay, so this is Harold versus Trudy. And put those together. Now we have our antagonist. Distracts them with entertainment. All right. Sounds pretty good. All right, so we have our antagonist and our protagonist. Oh, why is he labeled antagonist? That's interesting. I don't know why that happened. Okay. And then okay, so we have the goal and the consequence. Okay, so can Can we do Harold? Or
Yeah.
Hugh? Should we call him? Should we call him Hugh? I like Hugh.
You? Yeah.
After Hugh Grant, my favorite. Hugh. Okay. So, all right. So we got the typical thing, which would be the heist, and he's protagonist, and he's rebelling, and the queen puts that down. So it's cool. That's so. Let's now let's look at the personal thing that's going on with Hugh, because in the personality of the story, the four different through lines, we have all that plot, stealing jewels and rebelling and all that stuff is up here in physics. But then down here, this is where Hugh is. And somebody mentioned something about his ideals, or he's idealistic. And so now we're going to find out why he's idealistic, or what is his personal thing that he's going to hold on to that will eventually inspire Marvin to kind of change things up. And okay, so we go to the different through lines, and we'll start with the biggest piece, which is that he's class sensitive. Maybe he is. If he's a really class sensitive person, because I know we talked about ideals, so there might be something in here. This can be a source of great personal angst because they may feel like they're not good enough. I actually don't mind that. Insecure, anxiety, depression. Oh, difficulty forming and maintaining relationships, because somebody mentioned that he has problem making friends. The fear of being judged. So I just took the very first thing that popped up here in mind, which was being class sensitive, and there's a ton of different ideas here. But what you can do is you can take these two and put them together. So these are two different ideas of class sensitive, how that could show up as a problem. I am class sensitive. Oh, that's funny. Oh, this sounds like this is from somebody's personal report. I'm always aware of the social class I belong to and the way it affects my life. Sphere can lead class sensitive. Okay, that's not too bad. The Anybody want to throw in some version of mine that they'd like to see?
I mean, what you have there kind of sounds like something that he was, taught growing up or something. Maybe they were lower class. They're like his mother or father kind of had a chip on their shoulder about it. It got passed down to him.
I don't know where this would fit, but I just had an idea that if he's class sensitive, then and if he's the one that's making the robots, he makes the robots and then not be like subservient to him, to try to like instill like, no, be your own person. But they're like, no, we're here to serve you, and there could be that constant tension between them.
Okay, that's amazing. That would be over here in the relationship, probably.
Sure.
Because it's becoming an obligation. So it's the
Yeah.
obligation to serve you. I mean, we could just jump there, and we could change it. You can always change it later. But what Levi was talking about is this would be a very funny issue between the two of them. Not obligating oneself because robots are obligated to follow their masters or something.
It's like even just like the paradox of that. It's like even by agreeing with what
Yeah.
you're doing, I'm
Okay.
following what you have to tell me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, like being duty bound to someone.
Especially if, like, when he was a kid, he had a dog, and he would teach the dog, "Don't come to me when I call your name. Don't come to me." And the dog always came to him. So he was like, "I'm going to build robots, and they'll never do this." It's exactly what they do.
Being duty bound could be mean because it gives the reason when two people are duty bound. Oh, this would be a positive. So it'd be nice to have. It's always nice to have a balance of it. So being duty bound could be positive because they have a responsibility towards each other. But I wanted to get
Yeah, I think that the relationship could like grow over the course of it for obligation, like showing the negative side and then to the positive side maybe. since we're like success good show. So there is a good side of being obligated to help other people.
And maybe not being duty bound will be more the issue. If two people are not duty bound to each other, they may feel more free to pursue their own interests. This can lead to a more well-rounded relationship. Lack of duty can lead to a more equal and balanced relationship where both people feel free. All right, so I'll just keep that as an idea. But I just love that idea that, so what you were talking about, like that's how he programmed them,
Mm-hmm.
could be a really funny issue of obligation that could come up. And then this would be a positive aspect of them being kind of like his own creation, and then what that relationship looks like.
And I feel like that's what he's also trying to do across society at large too. So
Okay.
it could play out and that might play a little bit in the influence character, the opposition to that idea.
So since we have the class sensitive, do we want to do like a different version of that as well? Um, the idealistic part, do we want to get that in there, or just keep just the class aspect of it? Because you could do any of these. You could do hating dust bunnies, and it'll still work. You know, like he could be class sensitive and hate dust bunnies, and because it's the same sort of subtext underneath, it'll actually work, and you can combine them. I just wanted to show what that looked like. Oh, he could be a separatist.
There was one I thought was patriotic in there.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Because that could be interesting if he's like I mean that goes again with like idealism, I guess. Like he's really idealistic, but that might be too much overall story anyway.
Um, I mean, you can see how it could easily tie into the objective story, as long as it's not plot heavy. Like it's about him as a his personality, like where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Rick in Casablanca.
Mm-hmm.
He was really patriotic, and he is really idealistic, even though he's not in that space at the beginning, which did fit in with the revolution. So he was in the right place. Um, so here, this means a patriot is someone who loves their country. This can be a great source of personal angst because it can conflict with personal beliefs. For example, a patriot may believe their country is the best in the world and be willing to die for it. However, they may also have strong personal feelings about democracy, freedom, and justice. Oh, so then that's a way to make it more personal. This is really interesting. So, you know, obviously you were thinking like, oh, patriotic, so then that's why he's doing what it is that he's doing, the objective story. This is saying like, well, yeah, um, it's great to love your country so much that you'd be willing to die for it, but you may also have strong feelings about other ideals that don't fit within your country. And then that's the inequity, right? It's like, do I love my country or do I go with my ideals? And then that could lead to some anguish. So that he's not just this like straight shooter that doesn't have any sort of thing going on.
When his contrarianism, I don't know if that would be reflected in also his own beliefs too. If he's contrarian of himself.
Yeah, like he's never he can never believe a single thing because he's always
Yeah.
contradicting himself. But do you see how this plays out? Like it's more personal if we wanted to take that.
Yeah, that works.
And then sometimes, um, I'm just going to do this. Being class sensitive. I'm going to kill the first sentence. And I will merge these and hopefully not lose all the good stuff. It really wants to do that. I'm class sensitive. It's difficult for me.
Is it because the first paragraph keeps saying I and me?
Well, or it's just pattern matching, and it's like this is somebody else wrote this. Like this is like a junior high essay. It's something different. It's funny. unless I don't. I'm pretty sure I didn't encode main character eye perspective, but it keeps doing it, which is interesting. It is a source of great personal angst for me to be class sensitive. The idea of patriotism is based on love for the country. All right. What do you guys think? Should I keep what's here or take the merged one?
And kind of needs to be touched up, but
Take the
it's getting
merged one?
close. Yeah, it's getting closer to. There's some stuff you could probably trim, but
We have a general idea. He's class
yeah,
sensitive and patriotic, and that has a good idea of what he's got going on. Okay. And then I'm just going to go down into a little bit more detail with Hugh here. And then maybe for this episode, that'll be it. I mean, I could do this all night, but I just realized what time it is. Okay. And then everybody that woke up has to have crumpets and tea or whatever. Tip top shape. Okay. All right. Subconscious. Ooh, does he have a fear of failure? Should I just take the first thing that pops up?
sure.
Because I guess the point is, I naturally want to do something really awesome, and then it's like, okay, wait, no, the point is to show how easily you could do something. When someone fears failure, they may feel constantly anxious and stressed about not being good enough. Well, that makes sense.
It would also explain why he's taken to creating these robots that would never reject him, but also he kind of wants them to reject him. And it's this weird push pull of
Yeah,
I don't want them to do what I say, but also I don't want them to just reject me.
yeah, that's great.
Perfect. All right, so I'll just leave that one. And then dream. Oh, wow, cool. Fulfilling one's dreams.
I mean, the obvious example would be like kind of the dreams of bettering society, but maybe you could do something a little different.
Could this be his idealism coming through, maybe?
Oh, that it's like something that can never be achieved.
Yeah.
Fulfilling one's dreams can be a source of angst because if they're not able to let go of what they originally want. For example, if someone dreams of becoming a doctor but is not able to get into medical school, they may feel like a failure. Hmm. I mean, I like this too. Um, Not feeling like they're good enough or not deserve it. They may also feel like they're not living up to their full potential. Because that could motivate like him talking to the robots about fulfilling their potential.
What about that last one there? But feel like they're not doing enough to make their dreams a reality.
I also feel like they're not doing enough to make their dream. Oh, yeah. Because then that would make him an overachiever, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it would make him want to build those robots. It would make him want to steal the jewels and for
He
his
probably,
personal reasons.
yeah, and he probably goes too far
Yeah,
because it's all about his fear of failure. And now, the very last thing, finding reality on purpose. Okay, I can relate to that. Not being able to believe in the reality of the world around you could lead to someone feeling isolated and alone. They may feel like they are living in a world that is not real and that nobody else can understand them. Well, we're just going to take that because I love that. If someone finds reality unconvincing, they may have a hard time understanding why things happen the way they do. That's interesting because he can have a lot of like cognitive dissonance as he's going through. Additionally, this person may have trouble trusting their own perceptions. I kind of really like that. Does anybody see one? I really like this second one here.
I like that because that's also a little bit of if he is the only one that is seeing what he believes the world is happening, that this queen is terrible, and everybody else is like, no, she's great. He's going to be like, well,
Yeah, it's
this
like,
can't
am
be
I the
real.
only one seeing this? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Right? Like that, and that would be kind of the conversations he would have.
yeah.
Kind of
And
storytelling.
also, I guess like building the robots, he's building his own reality,
Ooh, I like that.
that kind of a thing.
Oh, this is great. Hugh often found himself questioning the reality of the world around him. Was he really living in a world that was real, or was it all just a figment of his imagination? He wasn't sure, but either way, it felt very isolated and lonely. He felt like nobody else could understand him and that he was living in a world that wasn't real. So that's why he built a bunch of robots. This led to a great deal of personal angst and suffering for Hugh. He often couldn't understand why things happened the way they did, which would be great, like if they fail or the robots fail, and this made him feel powerless and frustrated. Additionally, he had trouble trusting his own perceptions. Okay. Oh, this one's nice too. Dang it. Hugh had always been a skeptical person. He didn't just take things at face value, he was always questioning everything.
I like that one because he has trouble trusting his own perceptions, I guess.
Yeah,
That could lead to him being a contrarian too.
He'll distrust the queen because
Okay.
she's projecting ideas.
All right.
Wait, what was that fourth one? Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just trying to read that fourth one. You talked about him as a kid, being bright. He began to see the world differently.
He started to question whether the things he saw and experienced were actually real. He began to feel like he was living in a world that was not really there.
Kind of cool.
Okay, so I'll add that.
What if
And
he's
you
like,
could also you could also like in terms of the grand story, not necessarily the main character, but you could fold this into when the queen starts doing all this stuff and she's building all this stuff and all the circus and all that. He's the only one that's like, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. This is none of this is real. There is nothing here is grounded in reality.
Right. Yeah.
I think that like there's a cool parallel though, because he could almost be like a Willy Wonka kind of character that's like in his own world with robots doing everything for him, and like,
Yeah,
and so he's also like living in a delusion of
yeah.
his own creation too, even though it's quote
But
unquote real.
this
Yeah. There's some nice irony there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That he finds his absurd cartoon world completely real and everything in reality. He's like, this is ridiculous. This is stupid.
World of his own creation. Wow, this is amazing. Which then fits back with the whole Willy Wonka picture.
Yeah.
Original here. This would be like why he would create something like these things
That's
here.
very Willy Wonka. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's rad. All right. This is going to be cool. All right. So then let me just take what we have. All right. So just to wrap up, so we've just built the whole main character. Here it is. Okay. So we have the main parts of Hugh's personal through line. So this is like what he's actually going through. We have the domain, the concern, the issue, and the problem. So this is like the biggest version of his personal issue or personal through line, and then it gets in more details. We go down and we went through the mind, through him fearing failure, through him fulfilling his dreams, and then this finding reality unconvincing, which got a really cool flavor of what kind of character he is. So then I'm sure tomorrow people can go through Midjourney and like do an image or two or like come up with ideas like character sketches of what he would look like based on this. But what you can do is once you have all these, it has the subtext here, and then for the problem, we do have the storytelling here, is to go into the synopsis and just take all the story points that we've come up with for Hugh and put them into one sort of thing. So what you could do is take this synopsis, put it next to like a Midjourney image, and it'd probably be really cool. Hugh had always been a bright child. He began to see the world differently. I just want to make sure this is just a
I think it
just pulled the last. That
the
was
one. Yeah. Could it
don't
be that you only have the other three in subtext?
Maybe, but it should take. It is a source of great angst.
That's just the domain, isn't it?
This is just the first one.
Yeah.
It's supposed to do all four. Let's see. It's a lot of info.
The repeat.
Okay.
Hmm. Well, let me look. I'll pull out. Let me just pull out this. I don't think this is the issue. Just in case. If it is, I would be surprised. Let's see. I worry that they will never be good enough. That one's a little short. Okay, this one's closer. Many people experience great personal angst due to different aspects of their lives. Class sensitivity, fear of failure, and not being able to believe in the reality of the world around them are all examples of situations that can lead to personal anguish. So at least this one's doing, the different story points. It's a little too general. Hmm. Well, in this case, I'll look to see if there's something technically. I just wonder if maybe they're too different. Because you can do this. Just do it completely manually. This would be mine to die for it. This one here. Out in the middle. Does anybody have any thoughts as I'm doing this?
I was just kind of wondering what your kind of thoughts were for like going forward with this, how much more you wanted to develop it or meet again or whatnot.
Well, tonight I think this is it for. I just wanted to do the main character for tonight because that's quite a bit. Um, well, so what I wanted to do is just do the 4 through lines. I wanted to show how awesome it was when you do the synopsis, but it's a little, maybe the different story points are too different, but that's why just maybe needs to be tuned up a little bit. And then I wanted to go through and do just the transits. So it'd be like a nice, like a complete story with the 4 different through lines, maybe even like weave them together into like 4 scenes, and then we could be done. Because this is like the first hour, and we've already had the protagonist and antagonist, the goal, the consequence, and the main character through line. And it would be done if this would actually do the summary correctly. I think maybe the ideas are just too different, bringing them all together. But I can work on that. So all I've done is basically just done my own summary of the 4 points here. this one, and then probably the last thing, which would be business and frustration. Oh, too long. All right, well, I'll work on that. All right. Well, I didn't have my grand ending, which would have been the summary. But I think this is pretty good for a good start, right? I mean, this is kind of a classic synopsis here. But the idea is then, once we get the different through lines here and you get the synopsis of who Hugh is, that then we could go through and build out the story beats. But I think I'll keep it to that for tonight, for just like the first hour. And then we have less than 47. Let's see if we can do a complete story in less than 47 of these. Does anybody have any thoughts or ideas? No, Jay?
When you wanted to do the next meetup or whatever.
Oh, we could do that in Discord. We can figure out like meeting time afterwards. Those of us over here have to go to sleep while the Urvaxises and the Jamies get to have, or Jays get to have breakfast, which is my favorite meal of the day. But what I'll do is I'll check and make sure that this is working out, like just the algorithm of it that pulls everything together and see what's going on. And then I'll post that in Discord. And then if everybody wants to mess, I mean, you guys can do it while we're sleeping. That way we have a 24-hour studio. So pictures of amazing images of Hugh. But yeah, and then we'll just keep building it and see what comes out of it. Who knows? We could do like a whole book and you have the whole thing with all these different images and it's like perfect,
A pitch Bible ready to go.
Yeah. And then that's it. And you're ready to go. But thanks everybody for coming. And then yeah, we'll talk about this more and put it all in the Discord and stuff. And if you have any thoughts as to like the format of it or how it goes, just let me know. And I'm gonna put a channel on the YouTube so that everybody can follow along if they want to and get an idea of what it's like to build a story this way.
What's the name of the thread that you're going to use to make comments?
Oh, for right now, I'll just put it in the storytellers and we can start a thread. I mean, we could call it the Royal Sellout or something, whatever sort of title that we end up coming up with. Because we still have like we get to do Marvin and all that fun stuff, and we got touched a little bit on the relationship story. But yeah, we'll just keep going with it and see what happens out of it. I tend to be more creative this late at night, so it's really fun for me. But I recognize I have to go to sleep eventually sometimes. So
Sometimes.
sometime I have to. Now, and when I'm asleep, I'm going to be figuring out why the heck
But
do a nice, elegant synopsis of it. How much
you're
I
not
want.
going to be sleeping.
This is going to be it. No, because what usually happens is I'll wake up and I'll go like, oh, that's the answer. But right now it's going to do it right now. Nope, it's still just doing the first one. All right, I'll figure it out.
We continue.
We'll get there. But thanks everybody for showing up. And I will see everybody on Discord. Sounds
Cool.
good.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for showing up, and we will continue to build later.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Jim. Sleep well.
Thank you so much.